Wednesday, June 28th, and this is Geek Nights. Tonight we begin reviewing 3 experimental works by Osamu Tezuka, the god of manga.
Let's do this.
IE means id est. It is, that is. E.g. You can say it.
Oh, I don't know the Latin part.
E.g. means what? Ergo gratis?
Yes, that's something like that. It means it's example.
Exemplia gratis.
There you go.
Yeah, not ergo gratis, exemplia gratis.
Whatever.
Anyway, people using those words incorrectly bothers me almost as much as people typing L-O-O-S-E when they mean L-O-S-E.
You know what? It didn't bother me until a few days ago when I learned the difference.
Nah,
because I had been using them interchangeably and randomly for a long time, and now I know that 99% of the time I want to use EG.
Yeah, very rarely do you want to use IE because it's usually easier to just say something equivalent in English.
Yep. But EG, if I see some IEs where there should be EGs, I'm going to come down.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We were talking about that right before we started recording, so I had to get it in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. It's anime day.
Woo!
We're going to review some anime, something crazy, something we haven't done in a while.
Whoa.
And I'd like to say, one, because it's anime day, and Jim Vowles mentioned this to us a few days ago, I would like to remind all of you out there who are considering going to Otakon that the discount for pre-registering, meaning you get a cheaper registration if you do it online, ends on the 4th of July.
So, if between now and the 4th of July you go to the Otakon website and buy a ticket, it will cost you $50, right?
Yep.
If you decide that you want to buy a ticket after the 4th of July, it will cost you $60, I think.
Yeah. Plus, keep in mind that by pre-registering, you make the Otakon people's job a lot easier.
And you make your life much easier.
Yeah.
Because it can and probably will sell out.
Plus, I'll note, there were at least, 10,000 people in line on Thursday. Maybe slightly less than that last year for the pre-registration.
Yep.
That line flew.
Yeah, so you want to pre-register and get there on Thursday to reduce stress, worry, and increase your fun.
Plus, you definitely want to be there Thursday for the pre-Otakon Geek Nights pool party. Of course, you'll have to find it to actually go to it, but we won't be hard to find.
We will tell the cool people where it is.
That's a big dichotomy. Now, if we forget to tell someone that we think is cool, they're going to think we don't think they're cool.
Trust me, if you meet us, we will let you know if you are uncool.
Yeah, we're going to have a posse at Otakon.
With 3 S's, and a U,
and
a
IG,
Y.
And an IGEG.
Well, and a U and a Y.
Italia.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we got a bunch of news, and we were actually arguing about all this just before the show.
Yeah, good job.
All right, you can go first.
So this is article. It's not really a news. And the article is titled, "Is it illegal to describe the sporting event you're watching?"
Now, the short answer from a legal perspective is yes.
Absolutely yes, it is illegal because the laws in this country are screwed up, and the sport companies such as Major League Basketball, NBA, NFL own absolutely fucking everything that has to do with their sport. You can't even take a picture of a football at a football game without it belonging to the NFL. It's just insane.
What's that boat, Dad? That, son, is a boat that is rebroadcasting Major League Baseball with implied oral consent, but not written consent.
Expressed written
consent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball has the satellites of evil coming around, right?
That was a different episode, but yeah.
The thing is, I see the 2 possibilities for the future, and this guy who writes this article sees the same thing, kind of. Either sports will open up and allow, amateurs and people like us to create content around their sport freely, or those sports will gradually fade away and people will lose interest in them.
Now, consider that, the way it is now, they make their money off of people coming to the place and buying a lot of beer and soda and tickets.
They make money from TV, and they make money from merchandise.
And, of course, advertising, which is rolled into TV, but also on the game itself, they have it
at the stadium.
Everywhere. Yep.
And food at the stadium. And parking at the stadium.
Yeah.
They make money in a hojillion ways.
Now, there are a whole bunch of laws in place, in addition to our standard intellectual property stuff, to prevent people from bootlegging, broadcasting, or in any way doing anything with the sport. So if you bring a camera to a baseball game and you film it, it is so illegal to show that to anyone.
Yeah, you might notice that on YouTube you don't see too many sporting videos. On Google Video there's a lot of soccer stuff, but Have you seen a lot of MLB stuff? Nope.
The best you'll find are hockey fights. In fact, I suggest right now, type, quote, hockey space fights, pluralized, unquote, into Google Video and watch everything that comes up.
Or YouTube.
Yeah.
Either one.
But I digress.
Yeah. The point is that right now there are a lot of podcasts and video, not so much video podcasts out there, for lesser known or less popular sports that are gaining a lot of support for those sports.
Also, there are a lot of people who just enjoy announcing sports games, or they like to sit and talk about sports. So they'll watch a hockey game and record a podcast where they just do the play-by-play.
And there are a lot of people out there who might not like particular sportscasters, and you don't really have a much choice of which sportscaster to listen to. So they will opt rather to turn off the audio or listen to the radio on their in addition to the television with a device that delays the audio or delays the video to make them match up, or they just won't have any announcing at all because it's so painful because the announcers are so terrible.
Now, bear in mind that right now, even though this is not a mass market, I mean, this is amateur to amateur. I think the article even uses those words.
It does indeed.
Amateur people creating content, giving it to other amateur content creators who are also consumers.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, the industry is bit by bit realizing they don't like this one bit.
Well, look at this. Formula One I think is the best example, and it's one of my current favorite sports. And mostly because of this podcast, Formula Pod. It's just two guys who live in the United States where Formula One is not very popular at all. It's hardly known at all in this country, but it is the premier motorsport in the entire world.
Hell, you want to know how obscure it is? When I worked at IBM, there was a guy who raced cars professionally and semi-professionally. He didn't watch F1 at all. He knew nothing about it, and he didn't care about it in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. However, it is crazy popular in places like Spain, where the current world champion is from.
Damn you, Alonso, just explode already.
I know, seriously.
Raikkonen was so close.
So close, yet so far. Anyway, Formula Pod are these two guys who talk about F1, and they get a lot of listeners, and they got a big forum, and they even have all kinds of crazy stuff. They teamed up with GP Tours, which is a company that is a tourist company that will take you to F1 races and has parties at F1 races where drivers go. And they arranged a whole party at the U.S. Grand Prix.
Ubuntu.
And they got a huge sponsor. I think it's, I forget the name. It's some international travel insurance company is sponsoring these podcast guys.
I don't know. All I can think of are all the sponsors I keep seeing at F1.
Yeah.
Patronus.
No. I think it's international... Multinational Underwriters is their sponsor.
What are you doing giving them free advertising on Geek Nights?
I don't know. I guess no one here really needs to buy travel insurance.
Watch like 10 people immediately go and...
Oh, I needed travel insurance. Shit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're so anti-advertising that any amount of advertising just riles us up.
But the thing with Formula One is it is the best example of a sport that keeps everything close to the chest. It prides itself on being ultra exclusive. Ultra exclusive.
They sell you the idea of going to F1 is like this big thing, and it's this crazy
it's
exclusive.
Like this big pomp and royalty, ancient tradition, big fancy. I mean, these guys race in Monaco with princes. It's crazy.
There's more fanfare about F1 at F1 than there is at Wimbledon.
Yeah. It's just insane. And they don't give up the rights to a damn thing. They don't give up a dollar. The agreement, the Concord agreement that keeps F1 together is a secret. It's so snobby. It's insane.
And I would submit, I have absolutely no evidence whatsoever to back this up, that the fact that F1 races are now trivially pirated and available on the internet right after the races has greatly increased American watching.
Well, no, there's only about 300 people downloading those things.
Oh, how do you know that? Where do you look?
at the BitTorrent stats.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know where you got them. They just appeared periodically, and you turn them on.
Yeah, BitTorrent stats.
Okay.
Because it's on Speed TV, and it's also on CBS. So here's where I get all the examples.
You know what? 300 is a big increase.
Yeah. Number one, you've got a sport that's ultra exclusive and no one can get access to the sport. Number two, you've got a podcast which is very popular and is bringing together people who enjoy the sport in a country where the sport is not popular and is increasing popularity of the sport. Number three, you've got a sport where when this sport is shown in America on Speed TV and CBS. 4 races a year are on CBS, and the announcers on CBS are god-awful.
They don't even know what they're talking about.
They're god-awful. Everyone hates it when the race is on CBS because the announcers are so piss, shit poor.
Like, they really, imagine watching a commentary on any sport. If you don't like sports, just make up a sport, and imagine a guy who doesn't know the rules and has no idea what's going on, just kind of trying to talk
Imagine
about
a guy commentating Mario, and it's like, oh, Mario jumped on the Goomba. That gets you 100 points, and he doesn't die. Yeah, if you run into the side of that Goomba, you can explode, and you'll lose a life.
Whoa, 2 Goombas in a row. Whoa.
Oh, he double jumped. He gets more points for doing that.
Yeah, I heard a man died trying to double jump.
That's watching Formula One on CBS. It's terrible. So amateur to amateur, creations of commentary and other sorts of sport-related, arts and videos and audios and creative works is only serves to boost the sport. It's the only purpose it has. So if sports continue to be exclusive and go after people who try to make amateur, creative works from the sport, those sports over the long run are going to be hurting. And the other sports that allow this shit to go on are going to be booming.
Now, of course, don't think we're like crazy idealists who have no idea how the real world works. When we say long term, we mean like 20 years.
Well, maybe 10 years.
Maybe 10.
10 years sounds right. 20 years is too long.
You see, it really depends on how much of our generation stays this way when they get crushed by the reality of an evil world.
Yep. I see F1, though, becoming, if the 2008 rules, because F1 has a problem with rules. I just wrote about it on my blog, but if the 2008 rules for F1 result in an exciting race, then I can really see F1's popularity going up a little bit, at least to the same popularity as like Indian kart racing is in the U.S.
Plus, I mean, outside of the South, and not to really disparage NASCAR, but there is a very negative kind of connotation around anything involving NASCAR, particularly to people in the North and in urban areas.
Yeah, well, the thing about NASCAR is that as a thing that gets people excited and makes itself interesting and markets itself well, NASCAR is perfect because they did exactly the same thing pro wrestling does. But as a sport, NASCAR is piss poor. It's whoever has the fastest car wins the end.
But there are people who would like racing, but they don't want to watch NASCAR either because they don't like it or they don't want to be associated with it. And a lot of these people, I think if they saw F1, actually saw it instead of just hearing about it or not hearing about it, they'd probably really like it.
The thing about about sports is that, number one, you can't enjoy watching a sport unless you know the rules. If you watch a game of baseball and you don't know the rules, then like a guy hits a home run, you're not excited because you don't realize the meaning of it.
Now, of course, you don't need to know all the rules. Like,
you don't. I don't know all the rules of F1. They're crazy.
You don't, like, even baseball, you don't need to know about the crazy pop fly stuff or what happens when, like, the pitch hits a bird.
Yeah, that stuff's just interesting when you find it out when it happens strangely.
Or like hockey. All you need to know is that they're trying to get the pucks in the nets.
Yep.
And then you'll learn over the course of time.
Oh, you can hit them, but you can't hit them that way.
If you do that, they put you in the box. For 2 minutes, you have to sit in the box.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to know about power plays to really enjoy hockey.
You know what? If you see one power play, you figure it out. Oh, that team has more guys now.
But it's the more you understand a sport, the more you are interested in it. So, and that's something else, is that at F1, if you just watch it, or even NASCAR, there is stuff to NASCAR. People, if you watch NASCAR and you just, no matter, you've never seen it before in your life, on the surface, it is a bunch of cars driving in a circle. That is what it is. But if you come to understand, the strategies of NASCAR, the pit strategies, the mechanics, the way you drive NASCAR, drafting, and then, teaming up and passing guys and all this sort of stuff, it becomes more interesting. You understand the strategies that are being carried out. And F1 is the same way. If you just watch it and you don't try to learn anything about it, it won't ever be interesting to you. But if you go and put in a tiny effort, just pay attention to what some guys are saying about it, it will become very, very interesting because it's very complex and serious, and there's a lot going on that's not visible to the eyeball in plain sight without someone pointing it out to you. And that is why creative amateur works about sports are very good, because those guys point the stuff out to you and make the sport more interesting, and the sport doesn't do it on its own.
Yep. I mean, a hockey announcer isn't going to stop and say, a power play is when blah, blah, blah. He just starts screaming and you have no idea why.
Yep. Now, the F1 announcers, actually, on Speed TV, I say are terrific, because not only do they, when the race is just kind of going and nothing exciting is happening, they teach you all kinds of stuff about tires and aerodynamics that you don't really know.
They're also funny.
And, if you watch a game, say, between the Mets, who are really good this season, and, I don't know, the Kansas City Royals, who are always terrible. I don't think they're going to play against each other, this year because it's interleague. But, let's say you see that game. The announcers will never say anything like, haha, the Royals suck, they're going to get their asses kicked. But the F1 announcers are like, ha, Team Super Aguri, they're terrible. Wow, they can't drive. Oh, look, they're out of the race again. Oh, well.
All right. Though I think we should probably nix the sports. We've talked about them for a while, and it is Anime Day.
It is Anime Day.
Now, since we went long on that because we got on a sports tangent, I'll be real quick about this because you've seen this in the news.
I'm going to drag it out.
I don't need to explain this to anyone, but the CCCBDA 2006, the Communications, Consumers Choice and Broadband Deployment Act of 2006, which is the current acronym soup bad legislation, has passed committee in the Senate, and it's going to be voted on. Now, real briefly, this law is this law which brings the broadcast flag back, which is that bad thing that prevents you from recording shows from the TV.
So if this law passes, TVs everywhere will be broken. Okay, next.
Now, it also has this other law, the safety something, wrapped into it, and all these other riders, and the law also basically gives the giant dog dick to net neutrality, which is a topic we've talked about at least twice in the past. It's, to real briefly, this is the idea that an ISP like Comcast has the right, and in fact the duty, to charge Google money for allowing Google access to their subscribers. Because otherwise, Google and Yahoo and all those people are getting a free ride on their hard work and their cables. Even though they're selling the bandwidth and that's all they sell.
Yep.
But we're not going to argue about that. It's a bad thing. No one who knows anything about technology disagrees on this point.
This is a bad, bad law, so we need to call them senators and say, wow, you're dumb. You don't know anything about technology. Vote no.
I mean, I'm not even kidding. Among technological professionals, there is no debate on this topic. The only people in the entire world who are advocating an end to net neutrality are the heads of ISPs. And
big ISPs, little ISPs who want net neutrality.
And politicians who are paid by big ISPs.
That's it.
Go to like Open Secrets or something. You can look at exactly which senators Comcast gave a bunch of money to, and then you can look at which senators are pro this and which senators are against this. And the results are enlightening.
And obvious.
Yeah. But anyway, I normally don't tell people things like this because a million other people do, but call your senator, write to your senator.
Go to the EFF website. There's probably something you can do there.
Just tell him that the CCCBDA is a bad thing, because it is.
Very bad.
Granted, to play devil's advocate, I'd love for shit like this to be passed.
Yeah, because when it gets passed, it's like the flag burning. If it gets passed, we can burn flags. If this gets passed, we can break the broadcast flag.
Not only that, but the more legislation passes that is just bad and actually takes DRM and shoves it in people's faces, and the more people have to deal with this, the more angry they're going to get, and there's a small chance that eventually they'll get angry enough to do something about it.
The problem is they do it so gradually that no one, notices. We have to get them to pass a law that's so drastic that people will get pissed off.
Yeah, I just fear a future when I'm an old man and I have a DVD and kids say, "What the hell? How are you playing that? You don't have those chips in your eye." We've got, as the music told you, things of the day.
Things of the day!
And they're both dancing related, and one of them is anime related.
Oh, I love dancing things of the day so much.
Yeah, you can do yours first.
Mine is a video that is from the Chicago breakdancing champion contest of some year. I don't know. It's just some really cool breakdancing.
It's a highlights reel. It's awesome.
It's very awesome breakdancing video. I love watching dancing of awesomeness, and this is awesome dancing. Wait for the guy with the broom. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Wait for the guy with the broom. He's awesome.
Now, I actually used to breakdance.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Actually, this is entirely true. However, the story I'm about to tell, while entirely true, will completely dissuade you from my breakdancing skills. When I was young, and when I'm young, I mean like between the ages of 4 and 6, I, for some reason, really liked breakdancing as a kid. And my mom has videos to prove this, that what I would do is I'd carry around, like, I'd sit with my grandparents at these, like, outdoor markets, and I'd sit up behind them in the sidewalk, and I'd put this piece of cardboard down, and I'd play cassettes of music I'd like from my Fisher-Price tape player, and I'd spin around on my butt and act like I was breakdancing.
Yeah, I've done a butt spin too, so I used to break dance.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, there you go.
If I ever find the videos or get my mom to send them to me, I will put them on the website.
I don't think rim breakdancing is something that is as cool as professionals breakdancing.
No. My only real move was spin around on my butt or spin around on my knee and then fall and hurt myself.
If I get the opportunity, I'm going to try to take breakdancing lessons.
Yeah, you do that. I'll take my motorcycle lessons.
I'll take motorcycle breakdancing lessons.
All right, anyway, my thing, because it's anime day, is very anime related. It is a video, Funky Cat Maybe. You might have seen it before. I don't know. I just found this kind of randomly. Not even linked to from a site. I found it, and it's basically this music video someone made. I have no idea who or why. I did absolutely no research. It is cel-shaded 3D, and it is kind of like Michael Jackson's Thriller, only
it obviously steals from Thriller a lot.
Only it's all these girls who get turned into cat girls by aliens, and they dance.
Woohoo!
And there's 2 girls who weren't turned into cat girls, and they're chasing them. And it's adorable and simultaneously hilarious. And
simultaneously awesome dancing.
yeah, the dancing, I mean, it's really high quality, even to the point
It's not as good as the breakdancing in my thing of the day,
well,
but it's good.
No. The thing I like about it is that there's all like the supporting dancers in the back, and they're obviously all kind of timed together, but it looks like whoever did it introduced some delay and some little variations, so it looks like a bunch of unique things dancing as opposed to a bunch of cloned 3D models dancing.
That's cool.
And the front, it's really cool. Watch it. The music's cool. It's really weird. I will do a little bit of research and find out exactly what the hell this was at a later date.
That's a good idea.
But it's anime day. This is the first time in many weeks we've had a chance to sit down and review some anime.
Mm-hmm. Now, the anime we're going to talk about is an anime that's kind of weird for most people.
Yes, it is actually 3 distinct shorts that we watched recently.
Well, they're not so short. One of them, they're basically movies of varying length.
Yeah, well, one is a short, definitely.
Yeah, well, it's a short movie as opposed to a full-length movie.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes long, though.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, Osamu Tezuka is the god of manga.
The god.
The god. Undisputed. It's not like, some people say, oh, so-and-so is the god of rock. No, so-and-so is the god of rock. No. Osamu Tezuka is the undisputed god of manga. Period. The end of the story. If you haven't read his manga, you should go to the store now and buy Buddha and Phoenix. Right now. Go do that.
I haven't even actually read him, though. I'm going too soon.
Yes. He also invented Astro Boy. And, the first, it spawned every anime you've got now. Came out of Astro Boy somehow, which came out of Mickey Mouse. And now the anime is feeding back into the American animation. So it was American animation, Japanese animation stole, and now it's getting put back in. It's a crazy loop.
Now,
but it's all because of Osamu Tezuka.
And we could do a whole show on him, which we might someday. But today, we just want to talk about 3 of these short film/movies that he did over a long period of time.
Yeah, between the years of, 1962 and 1988?
Something like that.
Something like that. He created 5 or so experimental sorts of animations for film festivals and other things.
They vary wildly.
They do vary wildly, but the art style doesn't even look like it's from him. It looks just like really old animation that you would see on super late night TV in America. But once you watch it and you realize what's going on, it definitely carries his mark very brightly.
Yes, especially the last one we're going to talk about, The Tales of a Street Corner.
Yes.
Because it's basically just like, yep, there he is. Yep, he always talks about war. Up there.
Yep.
It goes.
So all of these things were on BitTorrent, luckily.
In fact, we're linking to that.
Yeah, and I got 3 of them, and we watched them. And so let's talk about the first one, which is the shortest, called Male, M-A-L-E.
Now, it's very unique. It's very like art film, or the kind of thing you'd see at a film festival or at a student art festival. It's very short. It's very to the point. It has a very distinct point that it makes through a very, interesting method. Actually, a lot of our friends we showed it to didn't like it, which surprised me because I thought it was very well done.
I thought it was incredibly well done, clever, unique, poignant, I think is a good word.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should ruin what it's actually about or not because it's so short. There was no reason for any of you to not watch this.
Yes. Let's just talk about it a little bit.
All right.
There's this, it's a black screen, and everything that happens is sort of like is like searchlights sort of light up different parts of the screen, allowing you to see what's going on. What's going on over here, what's going on over there, just a little bit at a time. You can hear voices, you can see, the white eyeball with the black background to see where characters are and what they're doing. And you figure out really quickly it's about this guy who is waiting for something, or, he's doing some stuff, not talking much.
Yeah.
But all the talking is done by his cat, and the cat is down on the bottom left of the screen, and the man is on the right side of the screen. And the cat is saying all sorts of stuff like, I'm trying to get on with my cat woman here.
And there's a cute female cat right down there with him.
Yep, the cute female cat doesn't talk either, but the male cat is trying to get with the female cat, and the male human being is, he's sitting on the right side of the screen being a person, and he's bothering the male cat who's trying to be all romantic. And the cat is complaining about this guy, and then there's some twists.
Yep.
And then it's over because it's real short.
Because bit by bit it reveals more and more, and then it resolves, and then at the very end, if you haven't figured out what's going on, which we didn't, obviously, the spotlight pulls back, and you see the whole screen, and you see what happened. And
you go, oh.
I'd like to talk about what I think it's saying, but I really, really don't want to spoil it for all of you out there.
We can make a spoiler line, but then we couldn't, then people might stop listening and won't go to the rest of the show.
You know what? Next week or a couple weeks from now, after we've watched the rest of these, we will talk about this again, because I'd like to talk about it in more detail.
Okay.
So once again, all of you out there, if you have any way to do so, download at least that one, Male. It's very short, and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recommend it enough.
All right, the next one we watched, which was of middling length, was Mermaid.
This was in a completely different style.
Completely different style.
It was very sketchy and transparent and just
kind
of...
like some characters were just outlines, and you could see right through them. You know what the animation quality reminds me of? Like those old Alvin and the Chipmunks type of cartoon.
Yeah.
That sort of, we're talking that animation, that old, but a little higher quality than that, but the same style, Like old Alvin, not Alvin and the Chipmunks from the 80s, old Alvin and the Chipmunks, the original real deal.
Now this one, and also the third one we're going to talk about, are interesting in that there are no words.
Mm-hmm.
No one speaks. And
yes, in Male, the cat is the only one who talks, but the other two we're going to talk about, there is no talking. No dialogue whatsoever, no fan sub needed.
And in fact, if you just showed this to some schmo off the street, or even some anime fan, I doubt highly that anyone would say, oh, that's anime.
When you see Tezuka's logo, his sort of brand, that little face he draws and everything, if you saw that and you knew, then you would know. And if you really knew Tezuka's writing style, then you might be able to know. But other than that, you might have a hard time unless you just knew beforehand already.
Now, again, this one's very good. It's the story about a boy, and he finds this...
I think he's a man.
I think it's hard to tell.
He's a guy.
Yeah, there's this guy, and he finds this fish, this little fishy, and he saves it. And the fishy, he likes the fishy. The fishy becomes a mermaid. And
woohoo!
He falls in love. And there's this whole thing, but then he brings her home, and he's all excited, and he has the fishy, and he shows it to his mom and his parents. Yeah, he was a kid, because he shows it to his parents.
Oh, that's right.
And the parents look at it, And yeah, we watched this actually many weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't remember it that clearly.
Well, he shows it to him, and they see a fish, but then he looks and he sees the mermaid.
Yeah.
And his parents are like, you're crazy, whatever. And it just keeps spiraling. Like, he gets sent, like, the government is testing him because there's something wrong with him. He's a delinquent, he's insane, but he sees the mermaid, but they all see the fish. And there's all this interesting dialogue where there's no noise or anything, but the special secret police officers will have a speech bubble that shows, like, a fish. And then his will show a mermaid. And theirs will show a fish with, like, an exclamation point. And then his will show the mermaid again. And then they throw him in a cell, and they inject drugs into him, and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of Clockwork Orangey a little bit, you know? And, you know, they think someone's insane, and they're reconditioning him kind of to fit, and, you know, because no one else agrees with him, but...
Yeah, but also a little tiny bit of 1984's kind of the government is coming in and preventing this kid from doing what he was doing, or...
Yeah, how the evil adult society is stomping all over the imagination of the children, looking at it as insanity rather than as, you know, a good thing.
And there's this terrible, and by terrible, I mean very just depressing scene where he's locked in this cell, and they're torturing him. Like, every time he thinks of the mermaid, they torture him. And the animation is very simple, but you get the idea. You know what's going on. And every time he thinks of the mermaid, as he's tortured more and more, he can remember less and less of her until eventually all he remembers is the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then they let him out, and he goes home, and he has the fish, and he looks at her, and he just sees a fish.
Yep.
And it's just really kind of sad.
It is kind of sad, you know. I don't know if I agree with the message, but it's still really good.
Yes,
you know?
well,
I can get enjoyment of things that have messages that I don't agree with 100%.
Because that isn't the end.
That's not the end.
It keeps going. I don't know if I want to spoil this one either.
I don't think we should, but after the guy goes home and sees just the fish, there is another poignant ending.
I recommend it again. You really should just watch this. This is very well done. It makes a number of points. A number of very classic Tezuka points.
Yep. All right, the last one we watched is Tales of a Street Corner.
It's probably my favorite, and also the longest and most interesting of the three we watched. Also the most well-animated.
It is the most well-animated. This is animated more like...
Even though there's not much actual animation going on in much of it.
No, a lot of it is just like, you know, a still thing where one thing is moving. This is more like Scooby-Doo quality, though.
Except for that guy's feet.
Oh, yeah, there was a guy who had, like, the best animated feet I've ever seen.
Like, seriously, it right out of, like, Cowboy Bebop quality. This is just, like, the most perfectly animated set of army boots walking I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was just so well done. As soon as it happened, it stood out so much from everything else.
It must have been animated on ones.
Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah, give us a little bit of knowledge about animation. We'll go nuts.
Yeah, right. So
onesie-twosie.
Tales of a Street Corner is about the story of a street corner. All the events it's all these events taking place on the corner of a street in what must be France or somewhere like that.
Yep, it's France. I'm reasonably certain.
It's probably France, but it could be anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at all.
But it's France for the most part.
Now, as it opens, it introduces, kind of randomly, a whole bunch of completely disparate characters.
Yeah, it's like as in the opener, which is the credits going by and everything, they say, here are the characters, you know, the balloon, the mouse, the light, the violin man, the army man, the girl, the
moth. And it says a little bit about each of them. Like the moth is like a local troublemaker or something like that.
Yep, it tells you all who all the characters are and what they're like.
And think about this cast of characters. You've got a poster, a tree, a light bulb, a moth, a little girl's bear, and a rat,
a mouse, all kinds of crazy stuff. It's all the stuff that's on the street corner.
And the characters all just come out and have their bit and go away in order, but they don't completely go away, and the stories all kind of intertwine, but they all don't directly intertwine with each other. It's like there's just all this stuff happening.
At the beginning, it looks like it's going to be a chain. Like you start with one character, you go to the next, you go to the next, you go to the next, and then they get to the last character and it's over. But that's not what it is. You know, it doesn't just go through all the characters in a chain and then end. It goes through some characters, then goes back, then includes some new ones and goes back. And it mills about, you know, cycling through everything that's going on in the street corner as the events take place and as time goes on over the course of, a night or two?
Yeah, I think it's just one day.
I think it is just one day.
Though it does kind of fast forward, but it's hard to explain, really.
it really doesn't matter. You can't assign any strict chronology to it.
Yeah. And the basic plot is that it starts out with this girl, and she has a balloon or something. She drops her teddy bear.
Oh, there's a balloon outside her window. And when she's trying to get it, right?
Yep.
And she drops the teddy bear into the gutter, the rain gutter, out on the roof.
Now, that's it. She's sad, and she wants it back, but there's no way she can get it back. And then this little mousey finds the bear, and he thinks it's awesome. And she keeps throwing little bits of cheese to feed her stuffed bear because he's stuck out there alone. And the mouse is like, yes, cheese. And then he runs back in with all his mouse brothers, and they end up destroying the nest, and he gets in trouble and kicked out for a while by his parents, and there's this whole thing.
Yep.
Again, no words. It's just action and music.
There's a lot of music. The music is real important in this. There's this one. There are a lot of music, different songs in it, but there is one main musical theme in it. I don't think that's what it is.
Well, no, there's the clapping that goes in the background through the whole song.
Well, the clapping I think is more like it's like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 if I remember right.
No, it's just 1 2 1 2.
I don't think we got to go listen to it again.
I'm sure. I will,
because that's not
money.
what I remember.
I will bet money.
Anyway, there's this main theme that begins playing at one point, and it goes away and comes back, and it changes moods, and it gets, it's played happily, it's played sadly, slowly, quickly, with and without energy, and it always matches what's going on. And you can basically, if you just listen to that, the soundtrack to this, you can tell what's going on the whole time.
Think of it as like an early Interstellar 555.
Or like a Fantasia sort of thing.
Yeah. In fact, it starts out, the first half or so is like the mouse, and then the moth and his misadventures, and the tree who is trying to spread his seed before he dies, and all these characters.
Well, before the end of the season.
Well, yeah. And all these characters interacting, and it's just very animated and lively. It's humorous at times, it's sad at times, it goes all over the place.
And the main action, I think, really takes place on the wall.
And it's interesting because once it starts focusing more on the wall itself and the posters, the animation all but stops, and you literally have scenes where it cuts to a poster of a man playing the violin. Then it cuts to a poster.
There's a wall on the side of a building with a bunch of advertising bills posted to it, just covering the whole thing. And each different bill on the wall is, each advertisement is like a character in itself. And they come and go as, ads are pasted over and ads fall off the wall and new ads are come on the wall in empty spaces.
Most of them are little two-frame things dancing along with the music.
Yep.
Other than the major posters, the big characters, which are an advertisement for a violinist, and it's this very svelte-looking violinist guy.
He's like a cool, awesome violin dude, all suave.
An advertisement for a piano-playing girl.
Which is, the conducting guy.
The conductor, who is he's like the mayor of Poster Town.
Yeah, this is where the music that I was talking about before comes from, is these guys play it. They're just posters on the wall.
Now, keep in mind that the character ones are really not animated so much. In fact, the violinist and the piano girl are never animated.
They move very tiny bits. I think the eyes move.
But they don't show it to you. They'll show you the poster and the face is changed a little bit, but they never show it to you changing.
Yeah, they'll zoom in on it. They'll show you different angles on it.
There are very poignant scenes where nothing happens. It just shows the guy, and it's playing the music, and you know exactly what that music means and what he's thinking. And you have all this emotion.
You see the violin guy, and you hear the violin going like, violining, and you know the guy's all happy and violining. And then you hear the music like, and you know that he's kind of, trying to do something, or that he's sad, or you can tell what the violin guy... Everything he does comes out in the sound of the violin, and nothing about him is animated other than the still picture of his poster.
And even when they change his face a little bit, it's so subtle, like they'll make him look a little angry or a little sad or a little determined.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they actually do that, or they do it so well that you can't tell if it's actually been changed or if it's just your mind. Yeah,
we really weren't sure, and we didn't want to rewind to find out because that really would have destroyed it for us a little bit.
Maybe.
But it was just, they convey so much emotion and so much pathos in a character that never moves, never speaks, and is literally just a two-dimensional poster stuck to a wall.
Yeah, you didn't even really have to have any animation. Just take a bunch of photographs and show one, then show the other, show one, show the other, and play music over the whole thing.
Now, up until this point, you've
Oh,
had
there's also the slut.
Yeah, the slut is a character. She's also a poster. She's a poster for some sort of body woman show.
Yep.
Dancing ladies, cabaret kind of thing.
Yep.
And she seems to like the violinist guy.
But then the piano girl comes along and she gets upset.
And the violinist guy seems to obviously fall deeply in love with the piano girl. And the slutty woman, as a result, is trying to horn in, but then the conductor stops her. All
Yep.
without interacting in any direct way.
Because these are just posters on a wall.
Now,
And all that comes out in music.
Yep. And up until this point, everything is kind of disparate. There's all the individual stories. The mouse is a troublemaking mouse with his million brothers and the exhausted mom and dad.
Mhm.
The little girl has lost her teddy bear. The moth is just an evil prick who wanders around causing trouble for people.
Yep.
The lamp is old and dying, but he refuses for his light to fade, and he's fighting to the end.
The street lamp is
Yes.
refusing to let everything go dark.
And the moth is messing with him.
Yeah, the moth screws with the street lamp, and he screws with the tree who's trying to get his seeds planted before the next season.
Yep, the moth
Because
just
there
bad
isn't any
things.
dirt on the street, so the tree tries to get his seeds over to where the little patch of dirt is.
Yep, and the moth pretends to help, but then actually just screws everybody.
All right, now rather than spoil the rest of this thing, I'm just going to let you know that eventually this general, an actual human being, military guy, I'll call him the general,
I'll call him Captain Boot McBoot.
Captain Boot McBoot, is like a mean-looking Kaiser type of military guy.
Well, the thing is, first off, you don't see any actual people except for the tone. Halfway through, the tone of this animation changes completely, and you see these boots, these obviously World War I era army boots walking, and everything stops, and then he puts up this poster of this Kaiser-looking general guy. It's obvious, like, war propaganda.
Doesn't he put it on top of one of the existing posters?
He puts it over the conductor.
Oh, that's right. The conductor goes away,
And
he gets replaced by this evil general.
And
guy.
all the happy music stops, and everything's different suddenly.
Yep,
and
and
then
it goes from there.
And that is the point. I mean, before that, it's just a very good animation. But at this point, it's all right, this is Tezuka.
Yeah, we're trying to say war is bad, blah, blah, blah,
But
blah,
not
blah.
just that war is bad.
Not just that war is
It's
bad.
not that simple. It's not just war is bad or propaganda is bad or anything like that. It has a lot of complex, both pro and anti-war and pro and anti-spirit. There's so much to it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we really can't ruin it. This is something that I really would like all of you to see.
Yep. But I'll tell the music is actually, I kind of want to get the soundtrack thing to it.
Yes.
Somehow. Maybe that, who made that music? We should find that out.
But just like there's the war poster, and then it progresses, and there are more posters, and it's obvious that things are militarizing and things are getting bad, and then war actually breaks out, like actual war, but you don't actually see it. You just see the effects of it on all of these characters.
Yep.
And then it ends in a way that you wouldn't expect, and it's very thoughtful and poignant.
The ending was really good, actually.
Yeah.
Because every character has some sort of end.
And the fact that the whole time I'm thinking, all right, it's Tezuka, it's anti-war. Great, I figured it out. This is still cool. But then it actually ended, and it wasn't just anti-war. There was so much more there.
Yep. It's like he does something different with each. He could have done the anti-war if he just had the wall with the posters. But every different part of it had something different to say and do and something different to show you. And that's why there were so many different things and not just posters on the wall.
And this is also something I would love to talk about on the show, and we will do it the next time we talk about these Tezuka animations.
After we watch the rest of them.
Yes, after we watch the rest of them.
And Rim will read some Tezuka manga.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of the difference engine. Give me a break.
Whatever.
Plus Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim is
Scott Pilgrim
awesome.
takes 2 seconds to read a volume.
Yes, but I have 1 and 3, and I don't have 2.
So just go buy it.
I don't have time.
What the hell?
Where am I going to go to a bookstore?
Any bookstore.
I'll probably get it at the shore.
Maybe.
Yeah. But, yeah, we'll talk about these. Well, basically what we'll do is we'll talk about the next 2 that we watched like we did just now. Then we'll have the spoiler line, and we'll talk about all 3 of these animations again in excruciating, meaningful detail.
Yeah, because right now I feel like we just gave synopses of what they are, and we didn't really, and we said that they were great, but we didn't really discuss, the meanings and the messages because we didn't want to spoil what went on.
And there's no way to even really allude to it without spoiling these things because the points hit home really hard.
That's how it works.
And they're very good. I mean, I don't know what else I can say. I can't recommend these more than I have.
I can't recommend anything Osamu Tezuka has ever done. You know, I mean, in my eyes, there are two guys, Osamu Tezuka and Will Eisner. And those two guys are pretty much the only guys that were that good ever at, you know, comicking and such. And their works are actually very similar. And yeah, you should do everything you can to read and ingest everything that has been created by Tezuka and or Eisner.
Now, moving on to the anime-related meta bits, since we can't talk about these animations anymore without spoiling them.
Mm-hmm.
One, for all of you who are going to Otakon, our Geek Nights live show, unless something changes, will be at 10 a.m. on Sunday.
We don't know, in one of the panel rooms.
Yes, we don't know which panel room. There will be flyers everywhere. We will announce it multiple times on the show.
Yep, just look at your Otakon schedule, and it will say podcasting panel in one of the panel rooms on Sunday at 10.
In addition, we'll be all over the con, doing interviews, doing things.
And we will arrange probably all sorts of things at the con. Right now, this is all tentative, by the way. You know, the Thursday pool party, at some point, you know, some board gaming.
We're going to bust into the rave and bust up some ravers.
Maybe.
I think we will. I will, at least.
All right. We, of course, the late night Saturday horrible movie.
Yes, we want as much of a posse as we can possibly get. We're going to make a ruckus.
The musical guests, who knows if we will enjoy them or not. We'll see.
I think we will.
I think we will. The cosplay, which I'm leaning towards not going to enjoy the rest of the con while it's all empty and airy.
Yep, though I want to send at least one Geek Nights correspondent or front row crew member in to see how the cosplay works in this new venue.
Yeah, I am kind of curious. I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is I'll go to it for like the early part and then leave. And then, you know, before it's over.
Yep. Also, I want to plug while I'm here the fact that I am also on, this is not Scott, just me and the other Scott are doing what we've done for the past, 4 years at Otakon and also at almost every other con we've ever been to, the Anime Club Summit, which has gotten bigger and bigger over the years. And it's at prime time, like 1:30 in the afternoon on Saturday.
So if you care about anime clubs, running anime clubs, if you're in an anime club, if you want to be in an anime club, anything to do with anime clubs, go to the Anime Club Summit. We'll be there for sure. We're always there at any con we go to all the time.
I mean, not to inflate our egos anymore, but we're all really honestly pretty much experts at what it takes to run fan clubs of basically any kind. We just happen to have done it with anime.
Yep.
And all the sorts of ramifications around that in social clubs and, you know, being a master of ceremonies and public speaking and all that. And I think we put on a good show.
So if you care about that, or you just want to see us before Sunday and you couldn't find us by other means, Anime Club Summit.
Yep. Also, last but not least, Anime World Order, our first friend podcast and also a very good anime podcast. They said some things we disagreed with on a recent episode, and we have sent them some audio feedback.
Some incredibly long audio feedback. What, 16 minutes long?
Something like that. I assume they'll edit it at least a little bit.
I hope they'll edit it because if they play all 16 minutes of it, that's just being too insane.
Except, you know, because they go on forever. They do like 2-hour shows. They can handle that.
They do, especially since they don't have to talk for those 16 minutes. But
yeah, good God, if we
will be taking up like a significant 5% of their show with just us.
If we did a once-a-week podcast, good God.
Oh, God, it would be 5 hours long.
It would also be like the most well-researched, crazy thing you could imagine.
Oh, God, maybe we should. 1 week, just do one episode.
That would be nuts.
It would be nuts.
That would have to be one hell of an episode.
No, I imagine it would just be a bunch of episodes together with 5 newses, 5 things of the day each.
We could just do an episode on politics or something at that point.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting hiccups. It's time to end this episode.
All right, but once again, check out Anime World Order, and especially, we'll warn you again, but we may or may not be appearing on it in non-live form.
Yeah. Oh. Tomorrow, the episode of Geek Nights that we will record and air tomorrow is going to be an Ask Rim Scott Anything episode.
We've gotten a lot of questions already.
And we're getting more questions by the minute, but the time is running out. Submit your questions either at the Front Row Crew forums at frontrowcrew.com/forum or email us at geeknights@frontrowcrew.com with your questions, and we will answer them on the show tomorrow. You're running out of time to submit your questions.
And we've gotten a wide variety of interesting questions.
Mm-hmm. And there is also a possibility, pretty good possibility tomorrow that we are going to be on Ian Levinstein's podcast talking about Anime Next some more.
Yep. Now, I'll note that we kind of made fun of him and his panel a little bit on one of our previous episodes, but he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he is a cool guy, and I think his podcast is just called Geek Speak, and I think it's geekspeakgeek.com if I recall correctly.
Geek Speak,
Yeah, we'll let you know if and when that episode actually goes up if you want to hear us talk more about Anime Next on someone else's show.
And of course, one tiny final bit, while we failed to interview Jim Vowles, con-chair of Otakon Live, he was gracious enough to answer many of the questions we and our listeners had in our forums. So if you have any interest in what Jim Vowles, the top dog for Otakon 2006, has to say, and you haven't been to the forums yet, go in, read all the things he's written. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot, and it's very good.
Yep, and if we had interviewed him, he would have said a lot more.
Yep, and we're still going to try to interview him. We might have to wait until after Otakon is over for various reasons.
I think after Otakon is over, we're going to get, like, the ultimate interview. That's what I'm thinking.
Because I got a lot to ask him.
Oh, yeah, especially after Otakon, we'll just be adding questions to the list, like, how was the con? Blah, blah, blah. What was your favorite thing at the con? Anything crazy happen? You know, did you meet any cool guests? Who was cool? Et cetera, et cetera.
Plus, also, regarding the panel we're doing at GeekNights at Otakon, the podcasting/Geek Nights panel, to all you podcasters out there, come to the panel and be in the audience and bring as many people as you can, because one, we're obviously going to let other podcasters give shout-outs.
Of course.
I mean, obviously. Like, what kind of assholes would it be to not?
Yep.
And two, podcasting isn't that big outside of podcasting.
I know, right?
So get a crowd there. If we get a big enough crowd and people wonder what the hell's going on, we'll all be able to promote podcasting as a media much more efficiently, and we'll probably all get a bunch of new listeners.
I think that's something that we'll talk more about at the panel itself, is that podcasting's, most of its promotion seems to be promos, which are played on other podcasts. So people who aren't into podcasts at all don't get into them, you know? And all podcasts either seem to be, you know, podcasters themselves seem to be the biggest listeners, and then there's listeners who listen to a bunch of podcasts, and then there are people who listen to just one podcast that has to do with their specific interest, and they don't listen to any other shows.
Or then there was me, who did a crazy big podcast in terms of quantity of episodes.
And didn't listen to anything.
Didn't listen to any podcast other than 2 episodes of Anime World Order and 1 episode of Artist Alley until just now when I bought an iPod.
Yep, until just now, finally got an iPod. So if we get a lot of podcasters together at Otakon, we can promote podcasting as a whole and get people who know nothing about podcasting into podcasting. And of course, at an anime con, they're going to want anime podcasts, which is us and you.
Plus, if we have a bunch of podcasters together after the panel, no good can come of that, and I think we will form a posse and go cause trouble somewhere.
Yes, we will definitely have the podcast posse of awesome, and maybe we should have like a podcast party or something.
Plus, one of the members of Anime World Order is coming to Otakon.
2 of them, I think, are.
Well, one of them is as his first Otakon.
Oh, that's right. He's an Otakon virgin.
Yeah, so we hope to see you there, and we will de-virginize you in horrid ways.
And we will show you the mighty ways of traversing the giant that is Otakon in an efficient and pleasurable manner.
All right, I think we're done.
We're done.
And that was Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geek Nights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geek Nights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.
That's a big dichotomy. Now, if we forget to tell someone that we think is cool, they're going to think we don't think they're cool.
Trust me, if you meet us, we will let you know if you are uncool.
Yeah, we're going to have a posse at Otakon.
With 3 S's, and a U,
and
a
IG,
Y.
And an IGEG.
Well, and a U and a Y.
Italia.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we got a bunch of news, and we were actually arguing about all this just before the show.
Yeah, good job.
All right, you can go first.
So this is article. It's not really a news. And the article is titled, "Is it illegal to describe the sporting event you're watching?"
Now, the short answer from a legal perspective is yes.
Absolutely yes, it is illegal because the laws in this country are screwed up, and the sport companies such as Major League Basketball, NBA, NFL own absolutely fucking everything that has to do with their sport. You can't even like take a picture of a football at a football game without it belonging to the NFL. It's just insane.
What's that boat, Dad? That, son, is a boat that is rebroadcasting Major League Baseball with implied oral consent, but not written consent.
Expressed written
consent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball has the satellites of evil.
It's Wednesday, June 28th, and this is Geek Nights. Tonight we begin reviewing 3 experimental works by Osamu Tezuka, the god of manga.
Let's do this.
IE means aid est. It is, that is. E.g. You can say it.
Oh, I don't know the Latin part.
E.g. means what? Ergo gratis?
Yes, that's something like that. It means it's example.
Exemplia gratis.
There you go.
Yeah, not ergo gratis, exemplia gratis.
Whatever.
Anyway, people using those words incorrectly bothers me almost as much as people typing L-O-O-S-E when they mean L-O-S-E.
You know what? It didn't bother me until a few days ago when I learned the difference.
Nah.
Because I had been using them interchangeably and randomly for a long time, and now I know that 99% of the time I want to use EG.
Yeah, very rarely do you want to use IE because it's usually easier to just say something equivalent in English.
Yep. But EG, if I see some IEs where there should be EGs, I'm going to come down.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we were talking about that right before we started recording, so I had to get it in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. It's anime day.
Woo!
We're going to review some anime, something crazy, something we haven't done in a while.
Whoa.
And I'd like to say, one, because it's anime day, and Jim Vowles mentioned this to us a few days ago, I would like to remind all of you out there who are considering going to Otakon that the discount for pre-registering, meaning you get a cheaper registration if you do it online, ends on the 4th of July.
So, if between now and the 4th of July, you go to the Otakon website and buy a ticket, it will cost you $50, right?
Yep.
If you decide that you want to buy a ticket after the 4th of July, it will cost you $60, I think.
Yeah. Plus, keep in mind that by pre-registering, you make the Otakon people's job a lot easier.
And you make your life much easier.
Yeah.
Because it can and probably will sell out.
Plus, I'll note, there were at least, 10,000 people in line on Thursday. Maybe slightly less than that last year for the pre-registration.
Yep.
That line flew.
Yeah, so you want to pre-register and get there on Thursday to reduce stress, worry, and increase your fun.
Plus, you definitely want to be there Thursday for the pre-Otakon Geek Nights pool party. Of course, you'll have to find it to actually go to it, but we won't be hard to find.
We will tell the cool people where it is. We're coming around, right?
That was a different episode, but yeah.
The thing is, I see the 2 possibilities for the future, and this guy who writes this article sees the same thing, kind of. Either sports will open up and allow, amateurs and people like us to create content around their sport freely, or those sports will gradually fade away and people will lose interest in them.
Now, consider that, the way it is now, they make their money off of people coming to the place and buying a lot of beer and soda and tickets.
They make money from TV, and they make money from merchandise.
And, of course, advertising, which is rolled into TV, but also on the game itself, they have
and
it
at the
plastered
stadium.
everywhere. Yep.
And food at the stadium. And parking at the stadium.
Yeah.
They make money in a hojillion ways.
Now, there are a whole bunch of laws in place, in addition to our standard intellectual property stuff, to prevent people from bootlegging, broadcasting, or in any way doing anything with the sport. So if you bring a camera to a baseball game and you film it, it is so illegal to show that to anyone.
Yeah, you might notice that on YouTube, you don't see too many sporting videos. On Google Video, there's a lot of soccer stuff, but have you seen a lot of MLB stuff? Nope.
The best you'll find are hockey fights. In fact, I suggest right now, type, quote, hockey space fights, pluralized, unquote, into Google Video and watch everything that comes up.
Or YouTube.
Yeah.
Either one.
But I digress.
Yeah. The point is that right now there are a lot of podcasts and not so much video podcasts out there. for lesser known or less popular sports that are gaining a lot of support for those sports.
Also, there are a lot of people who just enjoy announcing sports games, or they like to sit and talk about sports. So they'll watch a hockey game and record a podcast where they just do the play-by-play.
And there are a lot of people out there who might not like particular sportscasters, and you don't really have a much choice of which sportscaster to listen to. So they will opt rather to turn off the audio or listen to the radio on their in addition to the television with a device that delays the audio or delays the video to make them match up, or they just won't have any announcing at all because it's so painful because the announcers are so terrible.
Now, bear in mind that right now, even though this is not a mass market, I mean, this is amateur to amateur. I think the article even uses those words.
It does indeed.
Amateur people